have the power to create your own future. You can be anything. You can do anything.
You want to sell high-end stuffed Himalayan cats?
Understuffed, actually, for greater posability.
We're professionals. We're giving the people what they need.
Uma linha de brinquedos que virou ouro do dia para a noite e que foi alvo de corridas às lojas, lances altos de vendas na internet e uma verdadeira mania. Não estamos falando de Barbie, mas sim de Beanie Babies, bichinhos fofos criados pela Ty Inc., companhia fundada por Ty Warner, que foi do nada ao bilhão num ritmo alucinante. Baseado no livro The Great Beanie Baby Bubble, Mass Delusion and the Dark Side of Cute, ou seja, o lado sombrio dessa coisa toda fofa, essa história, tão maluca quanto real, é retratada em The Beanie Bubble, o fenômeno das pelúcias, que estreia na Apple TV Plus e conta a história de Ty, vivido por Galifianakis. E mais do que uma história dele, o filme, que é dirigido pela dupla Christian Gore e Damien Kulash Jr., traz a história de 3 mulheres que foram cruciais para o sucesso da Ty Inc. e dos Beanie Babies, mas que nunca foram reconhecidas pelo empresário. Elas são Robbie, que fundou a empresa com ele no final dos anos 90, vivida por Elizabeth Banks, Sheila, que é Sarah Snook, de Succession, mãe solo que se envolve com o Ty. E ela tem 2 filhas, e as meninas são cruciais para a criação dos Beanie Babies. E além disso, tem a Maya Geraldine Viwashnathan, jovem que foi grande responsável pela entrada da empresa na era da internet e do e-commerce. E o filme nos revela um Ty Warner vaidoso, ganancioso e que se apoiava nas ideias e na dedicação dessas mulheres, mas que jamais foi capaz de dividir tantos créditos quanto os lucros com elas. Conversamos com Elizabeth e com Zack, e também com os diretores. E eles falaram mais sobre os desafios de se contar essa história real e maluca, e também de tratar tudo isso com muito humor e muito estilo, e falar de temas como machismo, ganância, capitalismo e as relações de trabalho no mundo contemporâneo.
I think sadly it's a story that a lot of people know, especially women know. He was complicated. It's interesting. He was a complicated dude. He was charming, likable, incredibly greedy, incredibly ruthless. So it is tricky to play someone that's those things. Hopefully we were able to show that how he did get people around him through his weird charm. It's not like this is a normal charm. He's bizarre. And I knew that reading the book. There was a bizarreness to him that was very interesting to me. But you try to portray someone with these different layers to them. I think we're all layered. I think you can be incredibly charming and then also be incredibly duplicitous and evil. I think people have that capability, and I think he was, his business practices back in the 90s, that was par for course. That was par for course, I think, and still is par for course.
My salary's been reduced 75%.
Yeah, I'm just doing what's necessary. Running the real, actual business over here.
Yeah, it's what attracted me to the role. This woman who really overcomes literal obstacles in her life, but really her emotional and psychological obstacles as well. And, I think I related to this woman who feels like sort of a second-rate or supporting character in somebody else's story. She gets her entire identity taken away from her by this man who's manipulated her for years, who she trusted, and she comes out of it still with like a good feeling in her heart for people, which I find really inspirational. When you're that screwed over by somebody, to actually build your life back up, I found it to be really inspirational. And I also think she really represents a lot of people that will relate to her, at least in the way that I did. We have these big mythological figures in the world. We give them all the credit and all the money. They get all the yachts, they step all over the little people who they leave behind. And I think that Robbie really represents those people, those like the have-nots who have to sort of overcome and break the system that would otherwise owe them nothing, that would screw them over. And I just loved her. I loved her as much as I hope the audience does.
Somehow, life taking care of people. And I thought Ty was the one person who didn't.
We wanted the movie to take a look at those myths of what people value and why, and a system that's kind of set up to encourage people to go after questionable things and whether those things really bring joy and fulfillment or not. And so we show this character who makes billions of dollars but ends up lonely and having lost all these relationships that were valuable. And so we wanted to ask these questions about it. I think the traditional interpretation of the American dream is flawed, and there are a lot of dark parts to it. And we wanted to shine a light on that and illuminate, maybe everyone should focus on a different way of living life that is a little bit more humane and a little more joyful and a little more fair for everyone.
When we were putting this movie together, I think what we found so amazing about the book that it's based on, Zach Bissonet's book, was that in this ridiculous bubble of that looks so silly from the outside, there were so many amazing pieces of American culture, all of the sort of mistakes that our system likes to make, especially with respect to women and the female relationship to the American dream. And what we liked so much in the book was that you could have this bubble of joy with such serious things living inside him.
Have you considered poisoning him? Countless times.
In real life, the character is based on this woman, Patty. It's loosely based, but one of the things that I remember latching onto as an actor was, by all accounts, Patty, because she came up with him and knew him from day one, was one of the few people that could always sort of dig at Ty the most. I think it's why he had to let her go, because she threatened him more than anyone else, because she knew all the buttons that she could push and all of his insecurities. And ultimately, she used them to get back at him. And I found that to be a really fun, just like a fabulous character trait. Like, how do you plot against somebody who thinks who thinks they're manipulating you? How do you manipulate them back? And I thought that was really fun.
Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% presentation.
I think the childhood formed him, and I think what happens to a lot of young men, whatever their mom did, they blame the mom because they still have an immature mind, and they blame the mother, and it makes people disrespect women because they never escape this immature thought of what the mom did to them or didn't do. His father also was a nut job. So I think when you have, some people can escape that and escape it through business, but their core is still tethered to those emotions, to those things they never worked on. And I think he was a relic of his past, from his childhood. He never figured out. Didn't care who got credit. He didn't want to give out credit because of that childish mind, and built this empire to make up for a lack of a core. And I think that's what happens a lot in over capitalistic society. We're looking for answers, and it's usually done through business for a lot of people, and making up for their childhood in their business practices. And I think that was kind of at least a train of thought I was having while trying to figure out this character. You have to kind of dive a little bit deep to try, and even if it's imagined, you have to give these characters some layers in a movie like this.
This has always been my company.
Company we created together.
Going to set every day was very fun, and it was also, we wanted the movie to feel joyful and exciting and a really good time for everyone, while still uncovering some of the deeper, darker themes we talked about. And so we wanted that mixture.
But the truth is, getting 10,000 stuffed animals made during a pandemic and a supply chain crisis was something of a nightmare, and I'm pretty happy that we're never gonna have to see any of those stuffed animals again.
You go big or you go home.
I would tell you he did it all, which is as crazy as believing stuffed animals are gold.